We live in challenging, edgy times, so let's lean in. I'm Sandra Bargman, and welcome to the Edge of Everyday. Are you standing at your own edge? Are you craving deeper conversations? Do you know there's more waiting for you just beyond your comfort zone? If you answered yes to any of those questions, the Edge of Everyday is the place for you. Tune in live with me and my friends and colleagues as we share stories and tough talk about pushing boundaries and exploring our rough edges. You know, the ones between fear and courage, grief and joy, ambition and vulnerability, change and becoming. Here, we explore contradiction. Here, we hold paradox. We confront the truths we've been taught to ignore. Real talk with real people that spark provocative invitations to leap out of what's safe. The Edge is where you come alive. The Edge of Everyday. Thanks for listening. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Edge of Everyday. So I have some really great news to share. I was recently in a meeting with Amy Lynn Durham, the founder of Magic Thread Media, where the Edge of Everyday podcast now lives, and we were geeking out on all things podcasting, including going over the stats for my podcast since moving it to Magic Thread Media on April 1st. And folks, my dear, dear listeners, drum roll, please. Woo! We are now ranked in the top 10% of podcasts globally. Woohoo! Oh, so glorious. This is a huge shout out of gratitude to Amy Lynn and Magic Thread Media. And so much gratitude to you, my loyal listeners. I could not do this without you. I've got a tiny little glass of bubbly here. Actually, it's sparkling cider. And I raise it all to you. I raise it to all of you with so much gratitude. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taking a sip now. Wow, very special. And speaking of shout outs, I have another one. This one goes to Captain Fantastic 41. Isn't that a great name? Captain Fantastic 41. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you left an awesome review for me and the Edge of Everyday podcast on Apple Reviews. And I was absolutely blown away. Well, I was gobsmacked and maybe a little bit teary. I thank you so much. It was very kind of you. And if you're curious about what Captain Fantastic 41 had to say, go to the Edge of Everyday podcast on Apple, scroll down to reviews and have a look. And while you're there, please leave us a review yourself. If you like what you hear and you like to help us grow, that's an easy, feel-good action to take. And we would be ever so grateful. So thank you. Here we go. When was the last time you actually felt energized by your life, not just getting through it? What if the way you've been, quote, doing everything right is exactly what's draining you? What if the part of you that's too much, too intense, too driven, too emotional is actually your greatest source of energy? What if real happiness isn't about eliminating darkness, but learning how to integrate it? Real happiness may begin where performance, perfection, and people-pleasing end. In this episode, we're pushing right up against that edge. Today, we are live in the hive with Michele Phillips, author of Energize Your Happiness, and we're getting into what it really takes to break patterns, reclaim your energy, and stop living on autopilot. Michele Phillips is the president of Key Performance, and she is a globally recognized leadership coach, speaker, and author who helps individuals and organizations harness personal energy to create extraordinary outcomes. Michele is the author of Happiness is a Habit, Simple Daily Rituals that Increase Energy, Improve Well-Being, and Add Joy to Every Day. And Energize Your Happiness, Tap into Personal Energy and Shape Your Destiny. Michele is the host of the Write Your Outcome podcast, where she interviews leaders, change makers, and visionaries about the inner work behind meaningful success, exploring how energy, intention, and conscious choice shape both leadership and life. Welcome, Michele Phillips.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm very, very excited to be here with you, Sandra.
Oh, Michele, I'm so excited to have you here. And I'm loving, for those of you who are listening, we have to talk. She has a fantastic, you might have to go to the YouTube video maybe for this one. She's got a fantastic turquoise background. I'm just
Yeah.
loving it. It looks gorgeous.
It's energy. I love it makes me happy.
Yeah, I get it. It's my favorite too. I get it. Well, thank you, Michele, for coming on the Edge of Everyday podcast. I, again, am thrilled to have you here. I like to share with my listeners how I know my guests. So we have to shout out to Sarah Scarlett, your publicity, your PR person. She's fantastic. And I met her through Edgewalkers, whom the group you now know, Michele, and maybe you
Yes.
can like do a little plug for Edgewalkers. But I met Sarah. I thought I had met her through talkradio.nyc, with the first place I had my podcast.
Okay.
And she reminded me about Edgewalkers. And I thought, oh, that's of course. That makes great sense. So she brings all kinds of wonderful guests
Yes,
my
she's
way
been
with great
amazing.
books. She's an amazing lady. She truly is. So let's dive into my favorite first question, Michele.
Let's
What
go.
identity do you, Michele Phillips, lead with?
Oh, I love it already. It's interesting because it's, the do not judge the book by the cover. I I come bouncing into a room like a big golden retriever, just like happy and I want to meet everybody and I want to be everybody's friend, but I'm very deep. So I think to see me on the surface, and I think even the word happiness gets a bad rap because I think that's all like, oh, let's just be happy.
Mm,
But there's a much deeper meaning to acceptance, happiness. So while I will come in the room like I'm the host and the happy girl, and I want to make friends with everybody, I will quickly want to turn the conversation deep.
yeah, it doesn't surprise me in the least. I was exactly the same.
Yeah,
And I read your book, your whole book,
thank you.
and so related to be the boundless, cheerful, trying just naturally optimistic, and naturally warm and outgoing, and to have that misunderstood and maligned. Yeah, I mean, as a young person, that really fucking sucks.
Ah, well, you read the book. What was it? My seventh? No, was it? Oh no, that was in my first job. I don't know if I wrote about it in the first book. One of my first jobs, I would just walk into work every morning, Sandra, and say good morning to this woman at her desk. And one day she looked at me and she said, "Could you just take your pom poms and go someplace else?" And I was like 20
Like,
something. I didn't even know what to do with that. So I squashed my energy. I
yeah,
shrunk.
yep, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, made yourself appropriate for all of the people who were afraid. And by the way, that's the only reason she said something to you,
Yeah.
is because you triggered her. I mean, and it takes into adulthood, now I could fucking care less. And if somebody said something like that to me now, of course they wouldn't, because I have too
Because your
much to
energy
do.
is different now.
Right, exactly. I'm a little edgier. But yeah, just to be thought of as not smart, or all of the things that people wanted to believe because they were triggered by that great focused energy.
Yeah.
I so related. Oh, I love that answer. So what do you lead with? You still lead with, that bouncy, perky self, but you're secure in the understanding that you can twist on it, turn on a dime, and go absolutely deep like a mermaid. That's how I think of
Yeah.
myself, as a
Oh, I
mermaid.
love that. Okay, I
You're
never thought
like
of it
on
that way.
top of
I'm
it,
a
and you're like,
mermaid. Yeah.
you're totally a mermaid, and
Yeah.
you're like
No.
flipping around, and then go
Yeah.
deep.
Because it just brings me such meaning and depth. So it's, again, I want to be open to everyone and I
Mm,
try not to judge. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I always have a saying, every time I judge someone, I'm wrong. Usually I judge someone, oh, they're this, and I'm like, you know what? Give them some grace because I don't know why they're that way. Doesn't
yeah.
mean my judgment isn't correct, but there's a deeper meaning to, I always say, confident, happy people make you feel confident and happy when you're with them. So I try not to judge, but then if I need that reciprocation of, let's go deeper. And interestingly enough, I don't I don't think I wrote about this. Life moved me out to the Hamptons about 7 years ago, 8 years ago now. And you want to talk about like getting every insecurity about money and fame and all these things came up for me. And I had to really find my spiritual footing in a place that has such a dichotomy of haves and have nots,
Oh, yeah.
and finding the right people and conversations because I felt spiritually dehydrated out here because the and then that's my perceived, right,
No,
my
no.
perceived
I
outlook
think you're not alone
was
in that. I'm
fame,
right there with you.
materialism, money. And I was like, oh my gosh, everything I valued all my life is different. And not that if someone said to me, Michelle, here's a mansion on the beach, I would be like, I'm in, let's go. When do we move in? But it really, really made me notice my spiritual supper. Where do I get my spiritual supper? Who are the people that are feeding this need, a thirst in me? I created a goddess gathering, which I have once a month, a group of women, because I really need to go deep. And I had a harder time finding my people out here making friends at a later age.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's yeah, it I'm every time I go out to do a wedding out there, I'm a little sort of stunned um by the vibe, which is not to say it's not lovely.
No,
But it's different. It's different. We
it's
can leave it
different.
at that. And I think
And
anyone listening gets exactly what
yeah,
we're alluding to.
and I know the universe sent me out here to
Mm,
deal with my stuff, my
hmm.
insecurities around money, around fame, around any of this haves and have nots, and to be able to own who I am, where I am. So it's been an interesting journey, from feeling like I'm back in seventh grade trying to make friends to worrying about whether they're judging my pocketbook at the post office to running a goddess gathering in my home
Yeah.
where I gather a group of beautiful women and we talk about deep
And that,
topics.
well, that's the essence of great presence. I mean, I'm sure that's helped you in your speaking gigs, and whether you're on a podcast or whether you're on stage. I mean, being secure and confident and at ease in your own story is the epitome of great presence. So marvelous. All right. So, Energize Your Happiness. That's your more recent book, which is the one that I read. I'm putting it up on the screen, everyone, and it's
Thank
on the
you.
shelf behind her.
Yes. And it's on audible.com too, I will add.
Oh, lovely. Did you do it? Did
Yeah.
you do the Oh, I love it. I love it. Saved a bundle too on a voiceover artist.
Yes.
Um, so what was the moment, Michelle, when you realized that happiness wasn't just an emotion,
Hmm.
but something people could intentionally cultivate? And how did that lead to the work that you do and to the desire to write your books? So that's a
Yeah.
lot of question in there. And I'll remind you if we get off. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a couple of things come to mind. So the first book Happiness is a Habit came out of my research, my positive psychology background. Happy people do certain things mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally that keep them in a good space, which keeps them feeling better. So when you write a book about positive habits, then you become the poster child for the book. So now I'm having to live, kind of what I preach. And every time I get in a bad mood, my dad goes, "Remember, Michelle, happiness is a habit." And I'm like, "I know, Dad, but I'm in a fucking bad mood right now. So can we just let it go?"
I'm a
So
real person.
yeah. So one day when I was meditating, when I lived in Piermont, New York, I was meditating
Oh,
and this,
I
yeah,
love it. My husband's from Nyack.
oh my gosh, we'll have to talk because
Yeah.
that's where I just
Yeah, yeah,
left
yeah.
from. I just moved from there
Oh.
to come out here. So I was meditating and this thing dropped in on my meditation that my next book was going to be energy rules, meaning energy rules. Like it rules to have a lot of energy, but there's rules to
Love
energy.
it.
So I had that in my book in my head. So Energize Your Happiness is a bunch of, I forget how many now, 20 energy rules. So it's like gravity. If you um, don't believe you're going to fall off the building when you jump, gravity is still going to take you down. So,
Right.
what are the rules to energy? And our emotions are energy. The Latin word for emotion is like emuva. It means disturbance. It's like it's energy moving.
Mm.
So, through learning that our beliefs, whatever we're believing, and I know you know all this, but we'll say it over again,
Oh,
right? Your
yeah.
beliefs create
For my
your
listeners.
thoughts. Exactly. Your beliefs create your thoughts, which then create your emotions. And when you tune into your emotions, you have more agency. Now,
Mm.
most people don't, nobody teaches most people how to handle their thoughts and emotions, which is why we are in a crisis of consciousness right now
Absolutely.
because our minds, our left brain thinking mind is running us on autopilot. It is like a rabid dog in your head just screaming at you all day long. I named my rabid dog Wanda because she is the part of me that is a bitch and she rails at me. But once you learn that there's other parts of you, you can start to manage the energy and your emotions by managing your focus.
Mm.
So if I wake up in the morning in a bad mood, some people just wake up in a bad mood. And I say to some people just go with that thought, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood." And then on the way to the
And then they
bathroom,
take everyone down.
yeah, they stub their toe and then they curse at this one. And then their day just snowballs into a bad day. But if you catch it early, you go, "Oh, I'm in a bad mood this morning. What happened? Like, did I have a bad dream? Did I think something I don't want to think?" And once you can pinpoint and take that pause, you can then redirect.
Yeah.
And then you don't get the same momentum. So I want people to start really paying attention to their gut. And I love the spirituality piece. Your gut is where your physical body and your spirit meet, your soul. So that is your guide. You are born with the best GPS, and I call it your personal energy alignment. When you are in this flow state of, again, the positive psychologist would call it flow, the athlete would call it the zone. I call it your personal energy alignment. You are mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally connected to yourself and something greater than you.
Love it. So, but was there a moment in your life where you kind of were like, this did it happen while you were writing the book, your first book, when you took this? And I want to dive into what
Yeah.
positive psychology is too. I looked it up. Um, um, that you had this moment like, I want to
Yes.
embrace this word happiness. I want to tease this with. And the reason I'm asking you this is, well, part of the reason is when I was first ordained as an interfaith minister and then went through training to become an advanced certified spiritual counselor. I became a spiritual counselor at a wellness center in Midtown Manhattan. And one of the things we had to do was write content for the website, and of course, all of us. And at that time, I didn't consider myself much of a writer, but I got into it. And one of my first articles was called "Happiness is a Choice."
Mm.
And I really wrestled with the word happiness,
Yeah.
writing it, because it just seemed so saccharine and so like,
Yeah.
ugh, like I'm in a bad Hallmark movie, and like happiness is
Yeah.
a choice, which subjugated more of the the other emotions, and more of this other side of who we are as human beings. So when was that moment? Can you remember that, or maybe you can't? Like
No, I
this
can. So
where you're
there's
like,
two things, Sandra. I'm I have a proclivity to bright colors and, just I'm a light, happy butterfly and fairy girl. Like that's who I've been since I'm a kid, right? That's why even the color of this office, when I had the samples on the wall, my friend said, "You are not painting your office that color." I'm like, I am. I'm still like a teenage girl inside, right? These are the colors that make me happy. So when I started my business I started moonlighting in 97. I left corporate in 2000. I remember making my first flyer and it had a butterfly on it, like to symbolize metamorphosis. And one of my colleagues looked at it and she said, "Who are you marketing to? Corporations are not going to buy that. It needs to be more serious." So I listened and I changed the colors and I made it serious, but I'm not serious. So over the years, as I've gotten more comfortable with myself and what I like,
mm,
I've owned my smiley, happy face and
butterfly? Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So when Happiness is a Habit came out, I was practicing the habits. And what would happen is when you start to practice these habits mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally on a regular basis, I started feeling what I called energetic highs and magic carpet days. So let me go back to the habits to break it down. They're so simple. I want these habits to be so simple that you can't fail. I always say you could take a walk in the woods with a loved one and you hit all four. So it's not about making it hard. In fact, I have my easy button. It's about making it easy, right? I want this to be so easy you can't fail. I'm showing everybody the easy button. Then, when you start doing these easy things like learning how many hours of sleep you need, eating an apple a day, walking around the block, doing 2 minutes of a meditation, make it so simple. Once you start doing that on a regular basis, your energy level starts increasing. And then I would have these days where I just, the Uber driver was in a good mood. I got upgraded on the plane. I sat next to a beautiful person that we had a great conversation. I went to the hotel, like everything was clicking.
Mhm.
Now, this is not a place you live and reside, but this is a place you can get to without drugs or alcohol or anything illegal. So it's an energetic high when your energy is tuned in to this higher frequency.
Mm.
It doesn't last, which kind of stinks sometimes, but knowing that you can get yourself there by your thoughts and your focus is very exciting. And that's why I wrote the second book.
Right. So it was basically you embraced happiness as you were writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so you say happiness stems from your energy. I think your personal alignment. I think you started to explain some of that. Would you explain in a little bit more detail what personal energy alignment is? And how would you explain that concept? I love this, to someone who is skeptical of or dismissive of self-help
Yeah.
language.
Yeah. Um, so first of all, alignment, personal energy alignment is I ask people to think of a time where when does time fly for you? It could
Mm.
be that runner's high, it could be
Yeah,
dancing,
and in the
it could
creative
be
zone. Yeah.
singing. Yeah. So when are you in that creative zone? And riding dirt bikes, it's whatever. So when you are in those creative zones, your brain is not thinking. You are mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally in the present moment.
Yes.
And that is why all
It's
these
the power
extreme
of
sports,
creativity.
yeah, are so popular because people, they love climbing mountains because it forces them to just think about where their hand is going to go and the next rock.
Yeah.
So I ask people to know, what does that feel like when you're in this creative zone? It's where all the masters live. And then I want you to start to know that you could create this on a regular basis.
Mm.
So I like to say, I love the saying, the cake was baked with love. You know, we use that saying a lot because we understand that the energy of the baker went into the creation. But it could be a cake or a company, it could be an email. When you are present with what you are doing is filled with your energy of love.
Mm.
Most people are running on adrenaline, they're disconnected, they're overwhelmed, they're just pushing, and they don't even realize they're so out of alignment. So
Oh, yeah.
that's what this is all about.
I love it. Well, and it also makes me think of, and we'll get to how I guess there's really not an answer to somebody who is dismissive of that kind of language, but I'm trying to get the toxic positivity angle in here. But but yeah, what would you say?
Yeah, and I love when people bring it up because I always say if one person's because I teach in big rooms. I'm like, tell me what you don't agree with, tell me what's not sitting, what resonates, what doesn't. And then I'm not here to change your mind. That's the last thing I'm going to do
Totally.
is change your mind. But I do tell people to try it on for 30 days and you be the judge. So take some small piece of what you're learning and apply it to your life for at least 30 days. And then at the end of those 30 days, did you feel better? Did you feel worse? And I had a coaching client recently just say to me, he goes, "Oh, now I know what you mean by try it on for 30 days." Because this stuff isn't about me telling you, it's about that full body yes when you go, "Ooh, now I
Oh, I
know it's
feel it.
real."
Yeah.
That's what I want. I don't want to be someone that tells you what to do. I want to teach you how to know what to do.
Yeah. And help you remember, yeah, like this is not earth-shattering, people. This is your birthright. Your birthright as a human being to
And
be.
Sandra, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Oh, no, no, go for it, girl. No,
No, because we
this
live
I
in
love these
such
kinds of like, oh, well,
we live in such a society where people want to know how many hours should I sleep and how many minutes should I be in my target heart rate zone and how many steps do I need to take? And sometimes I'm like, those are great, but when you sleep 8 hours, how do you feel in the morning? When you
yeah,
only get five, how do you feel in the morning? You are so wise. Each person has so much wisdom and we give it away.
yeah, we totally give it away, and we compare, and which is another way of giving it away. Oi, oi. So, I'm going to skip that one because I feel like we've touched on it already. So let's get to positive psychology. I did a little looking into that. And what is the difference between optimism and emotional avoidance?
Mm. Well, let me back up a little. So I've always been one of those people who, I was all on board with Norman Vincent Peale and the power of positive thinking
Mm,
back in the day before there was any proof.
right,
So I remember distinctly the day I was sitting in a coffee shop in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, reading Martin Seligman's Learned Optimism.
right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, there is a body of research around this. Hallelujah. I didn't need it, but here it is for the skeptics. So Martin Seligman in 98, 95. I have the date.
Wow.
It's in the 90s.
Seligman.
Seligman.
Folks, I will have that in the show notes.
Yeah. He in the 90s wanted to know what research do we have around positivity and optimism, and we had zero, Sandra. The
Hmm.
90s we had spent all our time researching all the maladies, depression, bipolar, schizophrenia, every single thing that could go wrong with a human being, and nobody ever studied what could go right.
Hmm.
So Martin Seligman, I call him the father of positive psychology. He gets a research grant and he starts researching positive psychology. Now, in his research, he calls it optimism and pessimism. And
Hmm.
what the research showed was an optimistic person has better coping skills and they handle the down days or the bad news or the whatever things we don't like, they
Yeah, the
handle them
chaos, the
better.
change,
Yeah.
all of the things. Yeah.
So if an optimist and a pessimist lose their job at the same company on the same day, the optimist will go, okay, this stinks, but I'm going to go home, try some new recipes, start a new workout, and spend time with my family. The optimist does not let one area of their life affect all the rest. The pessimist kind of goes home, curses at the kids, kicks the dog, pops a beer, sits on the TV and, watches, Netflix for 2 weeks. The pessimist lets one bad event affect all the other areas of their life.
Ah, that's fantastic, folks. Say that again, like right to it. Say that again.
Yeah, the optimist takes, so if you lose your job, you don't let it affect your health or your relationship or other areas of your life. Where a pessimist lets one bad event affect all the other areas of their life. And Dr. Martin Seligman is a pretty grumpy curmudgeon. He self identified curmudgeon. His all his research has shown us that optimism can be learned, and that's
Mm.
what makes this so exciting. 50% of your optimism comes from your genes. That's been in the research, so you can't do
Yeah, I
anything
saw
about
that.
it.
That
But
was remarkable.
yeah, but 40% is in what you think and what you do, and then 10% is in your circumstances, so you have another 50% at your disposal.
Yeah, yeah, your willpower, all of the things, the willingness to push through. So, yeah, learn from mistakes and all the things. Yeah, but I love the framing of that, that it's not, optimism is not, perky, obnoxious.
Yeah.
I'm just, toxic positivity. It's the willingness to see the wholeness of life and make some decisions about it.
Well, that's what I think. Toxic positivity to me is fake. It's about faking it. And this
Yeah,
isn't, I
it's
don't want
about
people to
spiritual
fake.
bypassing.
Yeah, I don't want people to fake it. I want you to feel all your feels and I want those good feelings to be genuine because that's when you're like I always say when I'm on the dance floor, it's like you're just swimming in your own positive emotions. It's just a beautiful place to be and to know that your focus and energy and what you do can get you there.
Well, I don't know that I agree with you saying that it's fake. I think it's a strategy.
Hmm.
I think that it's a strategy to bypass looking at and feeling things that
Hmm.
someone doesn't want to feel.
Yeah.
That if as long as I'm and if I'm wearing this mask and everyone is buying it, myself included, it at some point that's going to come off and it's going to come crashing in.
Yeah.
You can't fake that. You there will be repercussions.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get that you're faking it out in the world, but you're not faking it with
Yeah.
yourself. The
Yes.
body that records everything. The body really knows.
No,
And I guess
agreed. I agree with the way you're saying that. Yes.
and I think that's a fabulous segue into the body always knows. Write your own outcome. I love this, folks. She has a podcast called Write Your Own Outcome, and I'm sure you do this with your clients as well. But and I listen to people. I listened to her. She just wrapped up her first season, and she had on. I'm digressing here, but I don't care. She had on her ex-husband, as she said, my former husband and my forever husband. I was like, go girl, you had them on a
Yes.
fucking episode together. It was great.
Oh,
I screamed. I loved it. It was amazing.
because people don't realize they get to write their outcomes. No matter what happens in your life, you still write the way you're going to tell the story. Even
Yeah.
if, like, when my dad died, I'm like, he's dead. I love him, but I can't bring him back. But I could write the story I now tell about my dad and I. When my marriage was breaking up, I told my husband, I want a spiritual divorce. And he was like, what is that? I said, I don't know, but I know we loved each other enough to get married. So we should be able to figure this out. And it took us
Yeah.
a while, like almost 3 years to figure it out, but it doesn't have to end in this bitter, you see all these, reality shows and courtroom battles and lawyers. Um, so it doesn't have to end that way. We wrote a new outcome, and my forever husband and my former husband are now very good friends.
What which you get right at the top of the show. I mean,
Yeah.
you can see that
Yeah.
immediately. It just was so great. I just loved it. I mean, the cheekiness of it, the courage of it, it was like, yes, that is very edge of every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh my God. But so write your own outcome. How how are you doing that in the work that you're doing with
Yeah.
your clients? What does that look like?
So I've kind of broken the acronym down, WRITE. So it's write, not RIGHT, right? It's write like
Mhm.
you're writing with a pen, and you write your outcomes. So everything has power, and everything you're whatever we are focused on is where we are going. So you write the outcome you want. I want a spiritual divorce. I didn't really know what that means. Then the R stands for recognize resistance. Oh boy, there's a lot of resistance in divorce. There's a lot of resistance, and even if I just say I want to, be the number one podcast or whatever, your fears, doubts, and insecurities. So recognize them because they're real, and then intentionally choose a better feeling thought. That's the I. Intentionally choose.
Intention.
Yeah.
That's it, that runs through all of your stuff, and
Yeah,
I
because
think people overlook that a lot.
if I say, "Oh my gosh, we're going to divorce, we hate each other," that's not my intention. My intention is I love this man once and I want us to have a decent relationship. So
Yeah. What
instead
do
of
I want?
choosing the low thought, I choose the higher thought.
Yes.
WRIT. Oh, then take one step. I got to do my own thing in my head. Take one step up the emotional ladder, because when you intentionally choose a better thought, it also raises up your emotion from despair to hope, or despair to, disappointment.
So yeah, what do you do, what do you do when in the moment where you're just kind of unwilling to do that? Do you breathe? Do you take a moment away? Do you
Yeah,
um come
I
back to it?
usually I use the line in A Course in Miracles. I always say, Lord, help me see this another way. So you might not be able to intentionally choose a better feeling thought right away, but I also know by doing this work for so long that there is always a better feeling thought.
Totally.
And
Keep
I
coming
might,
back to it.
yeah, so bring it to me. Help me see this a new way. And even if I want to get improve, I'm like, you know what? I'll say, I'm not there yet, but I get a little bit better every day. So that's a better thought, right? Like I could get a fraction better, even if I'm not totally there. And let me say, Sandra, that's the thing that's really big in my work is when people, if you think of energy and emotions, the lowest form of energy is depression. A depressed person has no energy to maybe get up and get themselves dressed and out of bed. And if you think of the high emotions, right, they're light and airy and love. And since most people are so uncomfortable in the low emotions, they want to jump from the low to the high, which is why we drink, drug, shop, any addictive behavior, because we want the quick dopamine hit
That's
versus
interesting.
intentionally just choosing one little thought. You don't have
That's
to feel totally great, but can you feel a little bit better? That's all.
that is awesome advice. Up take us through that one more time. Say that
Yeah, I
again.
call it the ladder up technique. So, say I'm feeling, let's not use depression because that's a hard one to get out of, but let's say
No,
I'm
let's
just
use that
feeling,
one
okay, I'm
because people
feeling
are there.
okay, I'm feeling depressed, nothing matters. Um, and I can't go from feeling depressed to feeling great about my life, but I could go from feeling depressed to feeling angry. Now, angry is still not a fun emotion, but it's got more energy than depression. So you're starting to move up the ladder. And from anger, you might go to resentment or disappointment. And you're just disappointed in you. I'm disappointed that after all these years of work, I'm still in this state. So, and then you go to what's after that? I'm trying to think. Disappointment, frustration. So you literally start walking up the emotional ladder, one emotion at a time. And literally, Sandra, you feel the relief in your body. And then
Letting go.
people know that, oh my God, I'm in control of this. Nothing outside of me happened. I'm still getting divorced. I'm still whatever the thing that made you sad is still the thing that made you sad, but the way you're looking at it and the outcome you're writing is starting to shift. Yeah.
I love that. Taking, this is why people drink. Because they want to go from way low to way high without doing the internal uncomfortable
Wow.
daily work to change with intention. What is it that I want for myself in this scenario? And I love that you brought anger is, please, I love anger. I've got a chapter in a book called Anger and the
Yeah.
Reluctant. I, as an Aries, I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
you can focus that in a way that doesn't feel nebulous, to your point. Like depression can feel like a swamp.
Yeah.
And anger can go, you know what? I'm angry about, let me look at why, let me unpack this and let me focus this energy helps me take action
Yes.
to get up that ladder that you talk about. I
And
love
energy, it's the Einstein quote, right? Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be
it.
transmuted. So the energy of anger is a conflict is what do I want to do with this? Do I want to go dive it down and be miserable, or do I want to take this same energy and transmute it into a lesson, into releasing it, into
Yeah.
accepting the uncomfortable and accepting what is.
Well, yeah, anger. I have been taught by anger my entire life. So
Yeah,
it is
same
a
here. I'm a
power.
Scorpio, so I can tell you some stories.
Yes, girl. I'm a Scorpio rising. Yes. Those Scorpios. Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, I came across, well, it's funny how, when you're doing research, you come across things. And I saw something on Anthony Bourdain, and this goes back to your
Hmm.
positive psychology about how he was interviewed right before he unalived himself. And someone was asking him about, is he happy? Is he happy where his life has taken him? And he said, um, I think it's too late to be happy.
Hmm.
Just so sad. And thinking about, can people change their emotional baseline, or do some personalities naturally struggle more
Yeah.
with happiness? And that gets to the genetics of it that you mentioned with
Yeah.
positive psychology.
Yeah. I am not a doctor, but I do believe
But you
there
play
are.
one on TV.
Yes, I do. I love that. I love that we both know that. What was I going to say? But there are people that struggle more,
Yeah.
and there is no judgment, and the body does keep the score, and some people just struggle more. But I do believe that the illness of our time is overthinking.
Yeah.
And the fact that we have become such a left brain thinking society, our left brain is all about getting stuff done and protecting. Get stuff done, protect.
Yeah.
Our right brain is
Productivity.
spirituality, joy, creativity, love. We're spending so much time in our left brain that we have pushed our right brain out. We've pushed spirituality out, and we're
Yeah, it's
miserable,
patriarchy.
and our brain just keeps it's just, I mean, there's that funny story that, if you were on the bus and the guy next to you was talking out loud to himself on the bus, you'd think he was crazy. But every one of us is talking inside our head. We're just smart enough not to talk out loud. So
Most
happiness,
of the time.
yes, exactly. Happiness is recognizing again that consciousness. You are not those thoughts. You are not those emotions. You are not depression. You are feeling depressed in this moment, but you are the being. You are the being behind the
But this is
human.
requesting metacognition. I mean, you're to be
Yeah.
witnessing yourself in the
Yeah.
moment as opposed to devolving into it, and which is no easy task, but it is absolutely doable and a must.
Which is
Yeah.
why I've named my part. So I've named my evil person Wanda. And my husband and I have great fun with her because he's Bill. My husband's name is Gary, but his evil twin is Bill. And whenever we get snippy or I get in a bad mood, oh, Wanda's here. And I'll say, Bill's here. And we know that we have disconnected from our heart. We have disconnected from who we are. And we are in this ego driven, crazy person who's railing at me, telling me I'm not good enough, whatever, smart enough,
Mm,
skinny enough, rich enough. But I also know that that part of my brain is temporary. She's there to provide, she's there to protect me.
yeah.
And that's what people don't realize. I say, Wanda, thank you. I know
Yeah.
you're here to protect me, but let's hear from Grace, because Grace is my kind of the sweet side, the spiritual side. And Grace is very soft. I have to, first of all, quiet Wanda and then give Grace the microphone, or Grace never gets to speak. And
Oh,
each of us
interesting.
has these different parts in our brain. And then this, Jill Bolte Taylor's work on the brain is
Mm,
so fascinating. Now she says there's four of us in the head. So that even gets even more complicated. But when you're able to name these pieces of you, they are not you. They are just who you are when you're temporarily emotionally hijacked.
yeah. Well, and those are the portions that I would want to ask to write the outcome. It's just, Wanda, write your version of the outcome,
Yeah.
and Grace, write your version. It makes me think of when I was at um, that wellness center. One of the pieces that I developed with my clients was a technique a method that I called, I mean, hardly a technique, but called monologuing. And I would ask my clients to write out, based on James Pennebaker's expressive writing, um, outcome writing, where you give traumatic
A voice.
experiences a voice and language, and to get it out, because the body holds it and you get it out. But I would ask them to, if you could tell the story and tell how you're feeling and say all the things that you never had a chance to in that traumatic moment, and then stand up and say them out loud. And then, did you say everything that you wanted to say? Did they receive it? Do you feel like they heard you? If not, let's sit down and add that in and stand up and do it again. And it was revelatory.
I could feel
People,
it. The,
yeah, it
that
was,
your acting background and bringing that to,
yeah, like a
ah,
little drama
beautiful.
therapy, a little actor
Yeah.
technique, a little Pennebaker expressive writing. It really popped, and people were transformed. So yeah, the write your outcome is so powerful. All right. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. What truth about happiness do people usually resist hearing?
Hmm. That it's not a place to reside. It's a fleeting thing. I think that's the bad rap again. Oh, you don't have a bad side, you never have a bad day. It's like, oh my God, I always tease. I always say my husband can write the tell-all because I got plenty of bad days and I have plenty of bad moods and I'm embarrassed about the way I behave sometimes because I'm a human
Mm.
being. So well, I forget your question already, but it was
No, to have what truth about
yeah, the
happiness
truth
you.
is that happiness is not a place to arrive. It's constantly moving. But when you know the joy of, again, being in the moment, every time you just come back to the moment, you can handle, I always have a saying, you can handle anything in the present moment. But we go into our monkey brain and we're worried about the past, we're thinking about the future. And then that brain, again, that voice versus saying, oh my gosh, I say, is it real fear or fake fear? Real fear means somebody's bleeding or the building's on fire.
Right.
Fake fear means I'm making shit up. I'm worried about something that hasn't even happened yet. That's fake.
Yeah.
Stop it. I'm like, stop it.
Yes. Totally get it. That's
Yeah.
good. It's the truth. So, what's the shadow side of self-improvement culture?
Well, did we talk about this
We
last time?
talked, yeah,
We
yeah,
talked
totally.
about Debbie Ford, didn't we? I think on the pre-call. Oh my
Maybe
God,
we
I
did.
love it.
I don't remember Debbie Ford, but yes,
Oh,
yeah,
maybe
she
not.
was
So
my
Debbie Ford did all this work on the shadow work,
shadow.
and
Yeah.
then she died very young. So I got nervous that if I did too much shadow work, that I would die young. So there, I said it out loud.
Go, girl.
But here's
You
the thing:
heard it here first on
you
the Edge of
can't
Everyday
escape the
podcast.
shadow.
No, of
So
course you can't.
it's really about admitting to yourself the parts that you're most embarrassed about, the parts that you don't like, the parts that and loving them
Well,
and
but the
saying,
shadow is also like some of your shiniest things that you
yeah,
don't own. The shadow is
yeah,
what you don't own. It's stuff
yeah,
you're embarrassed about, but possibly also stuff that you refuse, that is magnificent,
yes.
that you refuse to own.
Oh my gosh, can I tell you a dream I had last week?
Oh yeah.
So I had this dream. It's so funny. So one of my dear friends is having a great success with her new book. And I had a dream that had this ring I didn't want anymore. So I said to her, I have this ring, you could have it. And so she took it. And the next time I saw her, she goes, guess how much I got for that ring? And I went, you pawned it? And she said, I got $12,000. And I thought, damn, I could have used $12,000. So whatever, I chat GBT'd my dream. And it was so interesting because it was like, that's the shadow, right? So what something that I perceived wasn't a value, I gave to someone else who turned it into something valuable. So realizing that sometimes you dismiss things, right? You don't own things that are valuable. You take it for granted. It's kind of what you've been doing for so long. And
Yeah.
it said that the fact that I didn't get angry um, showed witnessing, right? I'm witnessing the growth. And then the number 12 was endings, right? 12 zodiac signs, 12 months in a year. So again, that shadow side, it's coming out in my dreams, it's coming out in
Yeah.
my everyday life. It's just you can't escape it. But to witness
And you
it
shouldn't want to.
is to grow. And when
Yeah.
you avoid it or ignore it is when you just keep spinning.
Well, and again, it's, you witness the MAGA culture. I mean, talk about
Talk about
shadow on
unconscious.
parade. Oh my God. Shadow on parade. All the shit they don't want to
Oh,
look at, like
yeah.
off in their bedrooms. Whoa. Yeah. Okay, but I'm not going down. Oh, oops, too late.
Well, but the
Already.
theory too is ego is dying. So as ego is knowing its death is coming, it's pitching a fit right now. Egos are pitching a fit.
Well, hey, I just think I think the downside of ego, we're never going to lose our ego, and quite frankly,
No,
we don't want to lose it. I mean, it like keeps us in our bodies and keeps us. We want to lose
want to evolve it.
yeah, exactly. We want to keep the good portions of ego that
Yeah.
keep us as human beings, keep us together. But this whole dissolution of the ego that was, again, don't get me going on, you know all the men tell now go and dissolve your ego. No, as
Yeah.
women, I don't want to evolve my
All
ego.
right.
Sorry, that sounds like a
Oh,
man spiritual bypassing. Thank you. No, the ego is fine. The bad portions of ego, or the women that refuse to expand their self knowledge, now that's the work. Anyway, I digress. I'm looking at our time here, girl. Clearly, we have a lot to talk about, but we have to wrap it up. Okay, what's a happiness practice you swear by that most people would find surprisingly simple?
oh, simple. The first thing, journaling is my go-to.
Me too.
Uh, I don't believe people don't give it enough credit. And I
Totally agree.
promise you that you will never sit down with your journal. If you write for an extended period of time, you will have an aha moment. You will learn something about yourself and you will have clarity. And people go, oh, I don't have the time. Or what if somebody reads it? I'm like, oh my God, do you think you're the only one with scary thoughts? Or,
Yeah,
you know,
totally.
yeah. So get over it and just take a journal and again, journal for 30 days and call me back
Yeah,
and tell me what
for
happens.
for like exactly 1 page, 2 minutes, and
Yeah.
people, I don't have the time. No, you have the time for the
Yeah.
things you want to do. Like,
Yeah.
let's all be real about that. If you want to get into your thoughts and you want to unpack things and get to the root of some of all of this, then you'll find the time. If it's not important to you, you won't.
And you
It's
get
that
to know
simple.
yourself on a totally different level. So it's just gold. It's pure gold.
I agree. Journaling is definitely one of my go-tos. Okay. If listeners tried one exercise from your book, which would you choose?
Oh, I don't know. Let me grab it.
I love it. She has it
Now I'm
behind
going
her.
to hit the microphone.
Oh, it's all good.
Let's see. One exercise because there's so
And
many in
maybe
here.
we just like open it and go, what does everyone need to hear in today's podcast?
I know. Oh my goodness. It's your game and your rules. That's one of my favorites. Like if you create the game, you create the rules. So stop living by everybody else's rules and decide, how do you want to live your life? Start to create your own rules. We're so busy asking other people what we should do and what they think versus I'm always like, what do you think? What do you feel? So, I say, create your own party verse and you get to make that up.
Brilliant, brilliant last
Yeah.
advice. Couldn't agree more. All right. Well, let's hear where we can find you, Michele. Your website is
The best place to go is energizeyourhappiness.com. And then that'll bring you to everything. You'll be able to find my Instagram, my LinkedIn. That's my website.
okay. One more time.
Energizeyourhappiness.com.
Great. And your books are all there, and all of your coaching, et cetera, is all there. Okay.
Yes.
And you can also, where, just off the top of your head, where do we get the book?
The book
Other
is
than your
on
website.
lulu.com, amazon.com, and audible.com.
Wonderful. Yes. Well, Michele, thank you so much for being on the Edge of Everyday podcast. It
Thank
has
you.
been a complete and utter honor and joy spending time with you.
I have one last thing to say to you. Congratulations on your podcast ratings. That is fabulous. And because of the conversation we had pre-recording, you have pushed me into my spiritual ownership, and I am dedicating the whole next season of my podcast to walking the edge between business and spirituality, thanks to your influence and inspiration. So thank you.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's really quite remarkable. Well, folks, thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for pushing us to the top 10%. I'm so grateful. Captain Fantastic 41, thanks for hanging out with us. And remember, the edge is where you come alive. Till we speak again, take good care.
Come on. Hey everyone, thanks again for spending time with us here on the Edge of Everyday. I'm so grateful for your support. Please hit subscribe and follow us. You can find me, Sandra Bargman, across social media. Links are always in the show notes. And please leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Much gratitude to my inspiring guests. Thank you for sharing your challenges, your reflections, your wit and wisdom. And lastly, many thanks to Magic Thread Media and the executive coaching team at Create Magic at Work. Remember, the edge is where you come alive. The edge of everyday.
Pressure pushing down on me, pressing down on you, no man has fall under pressure.
Come on. Hey everyone, thanks again for spending time with us here on the Edge of Everyday. I'm so grateful for your support. Please hit subscribe and follow us. You can find me, Sandra Bargman, across social media. Links are always in the show notes. And please leave us a review at Apple Podcasts. Much gratitude to my inspiring guests. Thank you for sharing your challenges, your reflections, your wit and wisdom. And lastly, many thanks to Magic Thread Media and the executive coaching team at Create Magic at Work. Remember, the edge is where you come alive. The edge of everyday.
Pressure pushing down on me, pressing down on you, no man has fall under pressure.
Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to a Magic Thread Media podcast.